Welcome to Coffee Talk with Angel and Nathaniel, where we'll be discussing insurance-oriented advice as well as heart-to-heart interviews with special guests from the department. From silly insurance stories to suggested insurance coverages, there will be something here for everybody. All right, today's special guest is Justin. He is our guest for episode 4 of Coffee Talk, and Justin is our sales supervisor. So welcome, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. I know you're a busy guy. I know you have a lot going on, so we are super happy that you were able to be here with us today. But
very appreciative.
yes, thank you. So first question, we're going to go back and forth. We're going to have a little bit work-related questions and then some fun questions. All work and no play makes so-and-so a dull person. So we're going to go back and forth, right? So the first question's mine. Tell us a little bit about your role here.
So, like you said, I'm the sales supervisor. I do a little bit of everything. So I'm in, my true passion is with the sales. So elevating sales numbers, but I'm also part of get involved with part of ops and service. So really, anything that has to do with the day-to-day routine of the sales agents, and so a lot of that, will consist of assisting. Things in our different CRMs, so system issues, carrier issues. Sometimes agents have questions even, as far as their benefits go. So just making sure that support to each and every sales agent we have.
Awesome, thank you. So I feel like you and I work closely together, especially with new agents. So we kind of, tag team with the new agents and fill a lot of shoes that may not be our specific role. So I can totally agree. You do all the things. Tell us a little bit about, though, prior to coming to this role, what was your role here?
So prior to coming to AAA, I was in the mortgage industry. And so if anyone has any experience with buying a home, they know that it can be quite stressful. So so that's how I got into insurance. Was I was ready for a change, and I wanted to be more in control of my paycheck. So I started reaching out to friends and coworkers, and a friend in the mortgage business, golf with Dave McMullen. And so he said, you got to talk to Dave. He's, you're great on the phone and your sales skills. So we went and talked to Dave. They got all the leads that you want. And insurance was always an interest of mine, to build a book of business, work hard for several years. And then, when I was closer to retirement, to have a book that I could earn income off of. And so that's what got me interested into insurance. So met with Dave, had a great talk with Dave, and it was kind of all over from there. And
rest is history. You fell right into this, right? Yes. You got sucked in. You drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you and I have a similar path. I was in the mortgage industry for 20 plus years prior to getting into insurance. And with me, it was always, I wanted to get into an industry where there's going to be security there. Mm-hmm. So with mortgages, I'm like, well, there's always going to be homes. Mm-hmm. So therefore, there's always going to be mortgages. When I transitioned to insurance, you got to have insurance for your home. You have to have insurance for your car.
That's right.
And of course, life insurance. So to me, it was a easy transition from a customer base because there's a need for it.
Sure.
Right? So there's a demand for it or a requirement, as far as laws go. So to me, it was a perfect transition to go from the mortgage industry over to insurance. Mm-hmm. So
that's right. And I think for you sat in the sales seat first before you took on this role, right? So you have some street cred, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
When you're talking with agents, you're not just telling them what to do, but you've actually been successful doing it. So I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy transition. A lot of the mortgages that I did were over the phone in all 50 states for the most part.
Right.
So it was, whenever I talked to Dave, I knew it was going to be a good fit because he had all the leads that I could handle. And I already had that experience with selling over the phone.
Gotcha.
That's fantastic.
And that's not for the faint of heart. Not everybody can do just over the phone sales. So
Right.
kudos to you.
It is. It can be a challenge.
Kudos to you, yes.
So I've got a fun one, since we've already talked about, your role here and what led you to your career. So what's one thing most people don't know about you, and or do you have a hidden talent?
Oh, I can't wait for this one. Hit us. Hit us.
Well, I've been with AAA for about 6 years, and I think most everyone has gotten a chance to know me pretty well. So if you don't, encourage you to come talk to me and get to know me a little bit more. But I have my own side business doing aquariums.
Oh, really?
So I service, install, relocate, really anything that has to do with freshwater or saltwater aquariums. Okay. So most people do know that, but along with that, I got scuba certified about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And love to scuba dive, but being in Ohio and working all the time with insurance and aquariums, it's tough to find time and get to nice clear water to scuba dive.
So I have a question about that. I think we might be thinking the same thing. Have you ever had a tank large enough that you had to get in to scuba dive for?
Yes.
Shut the front door.
Really?
Tell us.
So well, not so big that to get into scuba dive. I've been in several tanks where I can get in and lie down in them.
Wow. Okay.
So
how did you get into to that aspect of the aquarium?
Right.
I mean, that's not something that I've never met anybody that
you get a goldfish in a bowl at the fair and that's it.
You go to Petland and I'll take that fish.
That's right.
They have the aquariums already built, already in a box. So how did you get to that part?
Yeah. So I got into freshwater aquariums whenever I was just a young boy.
Yeah.
And went over to my parents' friend's house, and he had an aquarium, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. When my parents took us over to their house, first thing I did was run to the tank.
You were hooked. You were hooked, right?
So when I went to college, I got a couple tanks, and that's when I got into freshwater, and then that led into getting stingrays and arowanas and different types of freshwater fish, and always wanted to do saltwater. And met a guy in New Albany that has a coral farm where he raises saltwater coral in a greenhouse. And
talk about an interesting job, right?
Yeah. So I offered to work for knowledge, and so I went out to help out. He taught me the ins and outs of saltwater aquariums, and then that turned into me taking care of doing all his service accounts. And then that's how I got scuba certified. Actually, he had a grant with OSU, and went down to Key Largo. We were farming.
That was great.
Farming rock. Yeah, it was really neat. So it was a little different from the training to get scuba certified. I started in a 10-foot swimming pool.
Okay.
And so we started out in the shallow end. So if you got scared or your breathing got too erratic,
guilty.
Same.
Yeah, and so that's why you practice there, because then you just put your feet down and stand up.
Right.
And so whenever you're in the ocean and you're 100 feet down,
it's not that easy.
You can't do that, and you don't want to do that.
That's right.
I wouldn't be here.
You won't come up.
Can't
That's
right.
So yeah, that's the short how I got into it. Was just a friend of the family, and turned a hobby into a part-time or
and I think it sounds like more than a hobby. I think it sounds like a passion. I mean, it's something you've been interested in since you were a kid, so that's awesome. Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some work-related stuff. What behavior or personality trait do you most attribute to your success, and why?
Well, if you don't know me, I'm definitely have the driver personality.
I do know you.
But, my biggest thing is persistence. I'm always goal-oriented and numbers-driven. And so I'm passionate about, what I do, whether it's mortgages or whether it's insurance. And if I'm, confident that I have something that someone needs and that it's a benefit to them, then I'm going to be persistent on trying to sell them that product.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I like it. Yes, thank you.
And it's always good to be or to have that focus. I think in order to be successful, you have to have that drive. People that don't have that drive are the ones that, don't hit their numbers, or the people that aren't numbers driven have a hard time hitting their goals. So it's not impossible, but if you do set a goal out there and it does take necessary steps to reach the goal, which in my mind is being numbers driven,
Sure.
focusing on the steps, I think that's definitely a key that anyone can take away from that and learn from that. So
I also think not having that drive, you and I have drive, but maybe different because of different personalities. But I think not having that drive keeps you stagnant,
Right.
and you're okay with just the role that you're in. You're not really looking to better yourself or do more, and so I think that's a great asset.
I agree.
Definitely.
Thank you.
agree.
Yeah.
So, a fun question. What's something that you've done but will never do again? Which obviously we know it's not scuba diving.
And it has to be G-rated
Right.
because we're on camera.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've done that I probably regret. But one thing I've learned the older that I get is never say never.
Right.
Growing up, just different things like I said I would never own a black vehicle, and now I have a black truck and a black motorcycle. So I would say coconut is one thing that I just absolutely do not like.
Like the flavor or the actual?
I think it's the flavor
Okay.
and the texture.
Okay.
And so
So that's not nearly as juicy as I was thinking. Like
Right.
I snowboarded and I, went off a cliff. That's kind of what I was thinking. So I'll take coconut. I'll take
I
coconut.
high dive once,
That's
and I was
right.
like, you know what? I
This
don't
is
think
not for
it's
me.
a little bit too high. And I don't think I'm gonna do that again. I'll just stay in the shallow end, or I can swim into the deep area. But
That's
jumping
right.
into it,
Yeah.
I think that I'll
I love the thrill and I love different experiences. And so, if I don't like something one time, I'm willing to try it again. But
and just to make sure.
So you're adrenaline junkie with everything
Yes.
except for coconut.
yeah, coconut is number one.
That's right.
We'll not do it again.
Not gonna do. That's great. Okay, so let's move on to a couple professional ones. What's one professional skill you're currently working on?
So one of the biggest things that I've tried to work on with coming into the new sales supervisor role is learning more patience. I have quite a bit of years with in sales, and the day-to-day overcoming objections, obstacles, things like that, and I have to remind myself that not everyone has the same experiences that I've had, and
Sure.
Even though that I live and breathe it every day, it's new to a lot of our newer agents.
Yeah.
And so it's something that I've really tried to work on and connect with each and every agent, because I think that that's just as important too.
I agree, and I think you have a big heart, right? You have a big heart, and I think that's people are seeing that you have that big heart, that willingness to help. So I think that patient piece goes right along with that. So yes,
I agree with that. And I mean, just with my interactions with you, it's you come at a place of concern. Or I don't want to say concern, but a place of care.
Right.
So it's like, look, this is why I'm trying to help you.
Yeah,
so
let
that
me help you,
can
daggone
be
it.
more successful. I'm not trying to make your life hard. I'm
That's
not trying
right.
to make things difficult. But if you take these steps, because of the experience that you have, you've been down the road before,
That's
so
right.
you know where it ends, where, like you said, a lot of the newer agents or account managers or just team members in general may not be able to have that foresight. So
Right.
that is something of value that you definitely bring, and we appreciate that as well.
That's right.
I hear that quite often, that agents or coworkers, they don't know how to take me. And so I think you both hit on it well. I do have a soft side, and my true intention is to help everyone and to maximize everyone's production. So I've had some really difficult managers in the past, so it's kind of trying to rewire myself a little bit just from my experiences on how I've been managed in the past.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's good to take a little bit of what, they taught me or how they managed me and kind of make it my own too.
Right. I agree. Absolutely. And you went from a very solitary role, right? You
Right.
did your thing your way all day, every day with successes. This is a different kind of role where you have to be much more integrated and involved with the team.
Right.
And so that's a different thing, right? So learning how to manage that, like you said, is something that you're working on, which is awesome.
Fantastic. All right. So, what do you do to turn things around when you're having a bad day?
I can tell you what he does not do. Have coconut.
Right.
Okay.
No, coconut is not the answer.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So what do you do?
So, back to my soft side, so no one thinks that I'm, this kind of hard-headed person there, but
I feel like I want to pet you now.
I call my grandma. Honestly, she's always positive, always my biggest supporter. So, no matter what, I can count on her to lift me up and, give me some positive reinforcement.
That's awesome. You're going to make me tear up. That's awesome. I have a grandma like that too, so I totally understand. That's great.
And honestly, having a positive attitude definitely can not only help you out, but again, it can radiate to others.
Right.
So by her feeding into you and giving you that positive vibe and feeling, when you have the conversation with one of your sales agents after you've had that, after you've been poured into,
Right.
it's contagious and it pours into them as well. So
I think too, sometimes we have to be positive even if we don't feel like it.
Right.
We have to leave that stuff at the door, at home, whatever, and still be positive. And so being able to have an outlet that somebody that understands you, knows you, and kind of talk you off that ledge, I think
Right.
is a really good asset to have. That's
Agreed.
awesome.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. I think we might already know the answer for what you just said, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Right.
What is the biggest misconception people have about your position?
That's a good question. I would say ask the people.
Well, the people aren't here, so we
Right.
need to hear it from you.
Right.
So, looking back on whenever I was a producer, that's something that I always told myself prior to getting into management was, I didn't want to be that manager that kind of lost the focus or the mentality of what it was to sit in the seat. So I think that's important, for anyone in management that sat in that seat that you're, for the people that you're managing. And so I try to relate to the other agents, and so as most of you may know, I'm always asking for feedback, and I think that that's important, is to hear your people on the front line. And one thing that I thought, back to the question, is the biggest misconception is that that what is your manager doing?
Yeah.
They don't have anything to do.
They're just sitting around all day,
Here I am, taking all these
slaving
calls.
away.
I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. Well, what's the manager doing?
Right.
And I can tell you that it's a lot.
It is.
Yes.
And I wouldn't trade it for a thing. It actually was a concern of mine taking the management supervisor position, that there wasn't going to be enough for me to do. And so
You were so wrong.
I was so wrong. Right? And so I know, some of you
wrong.
get those emails and messages at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, or ask me a question, and that's one of the things I love about my job is helping people.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
completely agree. I mean, the misconception for people that haven't done it,
Yeah.
that don't know, that's where the challenge is trying to get people to understand that, there is a larger role. I mean, so you may not be doing the same task any longer.
Sure.
However, there's more responsibility.
Yes.
And not only that, you're just, as an agent, you're just concerned about yourself and your own book of people or your own book of business. When you're supervising or managing, now you're responsible for 10 people. So
got
if
it.
every person has a question or a problem, now you've got 10 questions and 10 problems that you have to help resolve.
That's
So it's not like it's
absolutely
just a single solution. Now you have multiple solutions that you have to work with on top of other responsibilities that you're
Right.
giving. So I completely understand that.
Constantly prioritizing, and my goal was to get to everything by the end of the day. That was my mentality as a producer. Every call that was in that work basket that I had scheduled that day, any emails, voicemails, and so that was just one person. What I had. Now I have 20 plus agents, and
Right.
you have other managers, other departments, and so yeah, it makes for a long day, and
Busy.
Wouldn't
That's
trade
right.
it for a thing.
Training for the world.
That's right. Good answer. Love it. All right. Last question.
It's on you.
Okay. This is one, oh, that was my take over the world laugh.
Right.
This is one that everybody's been struggling with. I totally could say this in like 2 seconds, no problem. But it seems like it's been an issue with everybody. So hit me with, what's one song or artist that you're embarrassed to admit that you like?
That is a tough question because I'm not much of a music person.
Oh, you're
believe
hurting
it or not.
me. Oh,
But
my heart.
I think I have a pretty good answer. It'll make you laugh or get you what you want. But I like all genres of music, and so whether it's country music, whether it's rap music, rock music, I like it all. Not so much into some of the pop stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what's going on, what my mood is. But I mean, yeah, I can get down to whatever.
That's right.
So some polka,
Right. Bluegrass,
we can do
jazz,
bluegrass,
me
river
too.
dance music. I don't know if that's a genre or not. I know it's a dance.
That's right.
Yeah, so I really don't have, and that goes for anything, whether it's, big sports guy. I don't have favorite teams. I don't really have a favorite, sport. It's just, I like
You
everything.
enjoy it all, except coconut.
Except for coconut.
Yes.
Yes.
So there may be coconut appearing at your desk
Right.
from now on. I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for taking time with us today. The point is obviously to get to know people better, and I think some of the answers today were things that maybe if they don't work directly with you, they wouldn't know. And so you showed us that you have a huge heart. In fact, you and I have conversations you probably take on more than you should because you just want to make sure that you're helping everybody, and that's a great asset. So
It is.
thank you all for joining us with
Yes.
Coffee Talk, everyday conversations with everyday people. Have a great day, and we'll see you episode 5.